It's just a temporary place to keep some tools. Oh, there is some insulation behind there. These are the wires that go back to the tail lights, I guess. Brown and yellow. And there'll be another ground back in the back. It'll be grounded to the trailer itself. There's a little channel here that runs in here, and I'll use that to run my wires. These are not shielded, so they could eventually chafe off and short out, but it's not going to happen. I mean, they're coated and everything. I think it'll be alright. Plus it'll be fused. That's good to know that there's insulation. So all I need to do is insulate the roof, and then this will be insulated. The plywood also supplies some insulation, you know. Plywood has some value for insulation. And this rigid foam board so I kind of need to plan out what I want to do with the electrical. And then I'll run a wire for the negative, grounding it to the frame of the trailer. Then I can just use the frame of the trailer as a ground throughout my wiring, and I won't have to run second wires. The trailer itself acts like the ground. So, okay. So this is a 30 amp circuit breaker. It's an inline circuit breaker. That's on, you know, and then when it trips, that's off. So I'm going to put that in line coming down off the solar panels right here. Right? And this line right here. And that will provide me a switch to turn off the solar charging anytime I want to work on the system. Plus it provides protection for this cable, which is a 12 amp or a 12 gauge cable. But I've got 260 watts of solar, and it comes down, and it's about 20 volts that comes down. So it's plenty of, you know, it should never ever trip this. It's plenty of protection. It protects the wire. So that's what I'm going to do. Now it's protected with the circuit breaker. Hope you got all that. I didn't know if you were in frame, but yeah. Pretty simple. It's an Allen screw, but I just used one of these instead. Works the same as an Allen screw, Allen wrench. So. It's 30 amps. 12 volt, which is really 20. About 20 volts coming down through this wire. It's 260 watts divided by 20, it's 13 amps. And this is protecting it's well protected. That was a 30, and it should work just fine. So now to disconnect the solar, all I have to do, instead of unscrewing this every time, I just have to disconnect it there. Push that button. And that also protects this circuit from going crazy. You know, overheating. So, I don't know if you can read this, but there are letters, numbers on this. So this says 12-10, and there's some other numbers on there. I'm not sure what those. 5.5-5, that's the millimeters, I'm sure. But 12-10 is the American wire gauge, AWG. So this is 10 gauge wire. It's marked 10 gauge right there. So you want to use this proper connector. If you ever have problems doing a crimp, you'll understand. Now see, this one here, this is blue. This blue one, this says on it 16 to 14, I believe. So it's only rated for that many that much wire. Okay, so there's the difference. And this one, you want to use the proper crimp. Okay, if you've ever had to do, you want to use the proper crimp. If you ever had to do crimping and you've had a failure, you'll understand why now. You use the proper, everything has to be right, okay? And then it should work a lot better. Crimp it right on the wire. This is a ratcheting crimper. So that's not going anywhere now. See? I crimped it wrong. I should have done it from the front. But I've just got too much stuff in my hands right now. So I've got that connection. Now I need a connection for the battery down here. Gotta find a connector for that. Same kind of deal, except the circumference has to be, see, that'll fit on the battery. See the marks on that? I can't hardly read it. Crimped it down hard. So that'll go on the battery. This goes on the positive terminal block of the positive end of the terminal block. Those are my two connections. Now this is live right now. I mean, the battery's got voltage in it, but it's not connected to a ground. You don't want to ground this to the frame either now, just in case. I don't think the frame's grounded right now, but you don't want to do that, because remember, electrons flow from negative to positive. It's because they're positively attracted to the positive battery terminal. It's another thing people don't know very much. People don't know that, but and it really doesn't matter. But, if you have a nut driver, now's the time for a nut driver. There's a lock washer that I just dropped. How in the world do stuff like this? Good gracious. This battery weighs 1,000 pounds. Good Lord. Put some earmuffs on. It's about the highest pitched squeal I've ever heard. That was worse than my prom date. I have to get a smaller bit, I think. This is, alright, it went through. It was already been broken once. So that's where we're gonna ground the terminal block. So we're going to ground here, over to here, and down to here. So 3 places. To here, 1 to here, 1 to there. So I need 2 sections of wire and 4 terminals. So 1 section of wire is going to be this. I'm going to use this coming off the battery right now. So I just cut it here, leave a little slack. This is good wire that comes off the solar panels. It's good 10 gauge wire, just like this red stuff, same kind of stuff. It's got this plastic stuff that mice hate to chew on, so it protects it from varmints. Let me see, another terminal, find a smaller. Now it's getting dark out. Once I hook this up, these lights will light up. Lights here. Nope. It should be hooked up. I used to have a whole nice set of nut drivers, and I was building a van one time, and I had taken it to its garage because it had an exhaust leak, and before I got one on the road I wanted to have the exhaust leak fixed. The guy had it all winter. Alright, he had the truck all winter, and he said, I'll get to it. He never got to it. And my nice set of tools, I had many tools inside that van. And so 2 days before he said that the van was going to be done, his shop mysteriously caught on fire and burned to the ground. My van in it. I went there the next day, sure enough, just a skeleton was left. But he did have insurance, and they did pay me off. So got everything except personal property they wouldn't reimburse for. So I couldn't claim any of the tools, or I did claim them, but they didn't pay me on them. So anyway, that was pretty bad. That guy, thankfully, he's no longer in business. So I want to run a second wire from here to here. And I'm pretty much out of the... I see why it's not working. I need to run this wire yet. Let's do that. It's getting a little too dark to work in here. So I'll be 65 in a few days, a couple weeks, 3 weeks. The eyes just don't work like they used to. I need more light. I need to wear reading glasses a lot of times. I hope that's going to be good. I sure hope this reaches. This should reach. If this doesn't reach, I'm going to be upset. I never have the right tool. That's the problem. I need a big fat screwdriver. Don't have it. Which way are we going to go here? I lost a little screw. I'm going to have to get another one. Somehow. They fall out on their own, but when you want them to come out, they won't come out. See? Oh, kidding me. Doesn't reach. Kidding. Making a full circuit now. Everything's making a full circuit. Everybody's seen a fuse. I know this isn't right. This wire's supposed to come out and go like up in through here and around, but you know, I'm not doing it. This is a job for me. If this was for a customer or somebody, I'd do it. Let's see, this is a blue. I guess this is a 15 amp. So let's just put this in. Get that out. Huh. Oh, you just pull it out. Now this should make a circuit, so the light should come on. I don't know if you got good enough light to see, but this first circuit should be working now. That's gonna, yeah, 13. Take my word for it. That's working. 13. Yep, that's working. I think that's about all the video and I can do today. Now I'm going to finish this. I'm going to do this circuit from this wire from the ground that I drilled up here down to here. That way the whole camper would be grounded. Okay, things have changed a little bit. I've hooked this up. I'm going to do this with 2 hands and put you on the tripod, but I'm going to hook this up to this. That'll light everything up. I put this fuse on, so this is a 30 amp circuit breaker switch. So when you turn it, you leave it open like that, then the solar panels do not send any juice into the system. When you close it down, then the solar panels will send juice to the system. This negative post here provides the necessary current allowance, I mean the circuitry for this, so it's just not hooked up yet. And it's grounded to the chassis of the trailer here. It's grounded to the negative post here on this terminal fuse block, and then it's grounded to the negative post of the battery. So it's a negative ground system. So ground, it's all 10 gauge wire, so everything's, you know, it'll take 30 amps for sure all the way through it. I could probably use another circuit breaker here one of those. And I've got one somewhere. I just have to find it, and then I'll put it in, and that'll take up this slack and this wire too. Now this will be its own standalone circuit. This will go straight to the battery, a negative and a positive, and it's got its own fuse, and that is just for the refrigerator. I'll show you when I hook that up. Everything else will get fused through this. So the fan will be on a circuit. It has some little LED lights that you'll see. I'll show you. And two 12-volt charging circuits that will be 15 amps a piece. And you know, there's not much else that I need to do. The refrigerator is the big thing. And I've done a little bit. I put a table in here just so I can work on it. It's not anything permanent for sure. I'm thinking that if I put the cot this way, I'll still be able to use this back door. If I put the cot sideways, I won't be able to use the back door. Okay, well, it's very windy today. As you can see, the corn's been harvested. That was done about a week ago. Just haven't had a chance to show you yet, but yeah, really windy. So we're inside and continuing on the electric. The solar panel's all installed. The controller's installed. I just haven't hooked up the negative ground yet. So it's on the tripod here, but this is a negative grounding terminal. It grounds to the battery and it grounds to the trailer chassis. So this is steel, and this is all welded together and bolted together, and it grounds in several places to the chassis, so it's a great ground. Got the fuse block panel, so the ground goes here down to the battery. See the battery down there. And so I'm working now. So I have one circuit breaker here on the where the panels come in from the controller, or from the solar. The panels, solar panels come in here. It's the positive feed from the solar panels. And this is a circuit breaker, a 30 amp circuit breaker. See that? Fuse in it. It's another circuit breaker. I'm going to put it coming off the battery to this fuse panel here like this. So keep you guys out of the way of it. Maybe if I put it this way. So my big battery is, of course, a little different. My big battery is a little different from my battery that I'm using now, so it's bigger. So I need a little bit more wire. So this is going to go in line like that. This is hot right now. There's electrons coming off the positive post, so be careful that doesn't hit a ground because it will short out. See, it's an Allen screw, but if you know Allen screws, you know that the little Torx bits also fit the Allen screws. If you have the right size one, since I don't have the screwdriver with me, it's in there good and tight. So there's a collar inside and a screw that goes through the collar, and that holds that tight. You take there's a waterproof seal here. Oops. See if that's going to fit through there. That won't fit through there. I have to redo it. You don't do this stuff every day. It goes that way. There's a little grommet wired through there. Good Lord. You have to put the little grommet on there like that first. And the set screw. I think that contacted the insulation. That's good. That tightens around the grommet like that. Makes your insulated connection. These can do up to 8 gauge, maybe even 6 gauge wire. This is 10, so it's perfectly capable of carrying 30 amps with hardly any voltage drop for this short little distance here, 4 feet. There's a chart, and I'll show you the chart here, and I'll put a link in the description of this chart that tells you the voltages, the wire gauges that save, the amperage that you need for the distance of wire, so you don't want to lose too much voltage. You get a voltage drop across your wire distance if your wire's too thin, and you lose that to heat. And so you lose the electrons to heat. They dissipate. So the thicker the wire, the less heat will dissipate. I'm talking to you with the thing in my mouth. Oh, that's good wire. I want to tighten on the wire, not onto the insulation. They're not set. And they can go there like that. So that'll be screwed in there just with some wood screws there like that. So I have the circuit breaker. I can turn everything off, and the big other battery will be here. You'll see all that. Now we've got another project to do. I bought something to go with the Renogy. You can find it right here. I bought a Bluetooth companion to this. I just got to find it. Here it is. So it's very small. So I'll just put it right here. Just put it right there like that. And it hooks into the communication port here. And I'll do that right now. You don't need to watch me screw that in. The cable it came with is very long. This looks like a 20-foot long cable. You know, so why would I need a cable that long? I don't know. But if you do need something like that in your operation, it's at least 20 feet. I think it's 20 feet. That was the most simple install you can imagine. Goes right into this top. I'll screw it in right there. But that cable could just rest there like that. Now let's test it. Everything is hooked up and wired right now. So the solar panels will be charging as soon as I hook this negative cable up. So let's do that. And then the Bluetooth will be starting to work. Then the breaker's on. Plus one of these screws. I gotta go find another little screw for it. Fell back behind. It's a machine screw and it's small. I'll be back. Gotta find one of those. Module. See it there? BT2. And I downloaded the app. You have to go in and get an account. It took a few minutes. But charging says 14 watts, less than an amp, because everything's floating. So you tap on that, and so it says it's in float. Battery types, sealed AGM, system volts 12, house battery volts 13.8, you can read it, 9 amps, 0.9 amps, charging. So there's some of the data it gives you, and it says the temperature too, so that's this sensor here. It's just hanging there right now. Now, I don't know how to change that from somewhere. There's some settings. I guess you're stuck with that. So 0C is freezing. So that's really what's important. It would be nice to know what the temperature is in the house though, just by the GP, that sensor. So that was $32, $35 off of the eBay. I bought it directly from Renogy, maybe $40. It's got an 80-foot range. A little book comes with it, tells you how to use it. You have to download an app, and it works. That's all I can say. It even tell you the temperature of your house, battery, wherever you have the sensor. The little sensor is just dangling there now. Now, I wanted to show you something else. The solar PV charging voltage, 23.1. So there's 23.1 coming into here. So I could go from here and charge one of my, since this is a negative post, I could go from just here, put another pigtail on there, another lead to here, and charge I have much of a range on this camera. It's all the way zoomed out. I could charge one of my all-in-one batteries, my Vitoman or my other one, which both charge at over 30 volts, since I've got 23 volts, and it's more efficient charging that way. But what I've done in the past is I just come right off the battery with it. So I'll show you all that. Now I'm ready to start with circuits. I need, is that out? This circuit, this hooks directly to the battery. It'll carry 30 amps. But what I'm concerned with is voltage drop, because this is a 15 amp circuit, which is plenty for my freezer. So I'm going to use this, dedicate it to the freezer. It's going to come right off the battery. I just hook it right to the posts. So that's one circuit. Next circuit, there's the diesel heater to worry about. So I'll take one off of here. Alright, here's the diesel heater. Another great use for this tool is unboxing stuff. Vevor diesel heater. Looks like a piece of fairly heavy gauge, maybe stainless steel, galvanized. That's the diesel fuel tank, 10 liters. Fuel line, maybe a cap for venting it. Electrical connector, hardware, bag of hardware. Muffler, I guess it puts out a little noise. This may be a fresh air. The black is a fresh air. It's a thinner gauge aluminum accordion type. That's an exhaust pipe. That's another fresh air, maybe for something like that. I don't know. We'll get into the instructions. There's the diesel heater. so it won't take up much room. I'm only interested today in how much voltage it needs and how many amps it draws electrically. So I'll look that up and get back with you. Power supply, it says voltage 12 volts, current greater than or equal to 20 amps, so at least 20 amps. Use either a power source or a battery. It says avoid charging the battery while supplying power to the heater, as low current may lead to malfunctions. Ensure a secure battery connection without using clamps to prevent poor contact. Car circuit lighter power source not recommended. I'm going to try and run it straight off the fuse panel. That's what I'm going to try. I can put a 20 amp circuit off of one of these. Where I'm going to mount it remains to be seen. So I have to make sure that it vents well somewhere. So I don't know how to vent it exactly. Well, I put the big battery in. That's a big 12 volt Chins lithium battery. And I did it off camera. And I changed that to lithium. So it's charging on lithium now. I put in the circuit breaker fuse. I don't know if you saw that. So just to go over it, this is the negative coming off the panels. Comes in, I put in a pole here, a bolt. And everything's grounded to that. It's grounded to the chassis. And then we have another ground coming down to the fuse panel. And the fuse panel has a ground going down to the battery. So the battery's grounded. So this is the positive coming off the battery. This is the negative, of course, for the solar panels. Positive off the battery. I can stop the charging anytime just by doing that. You see the red light goes off. And it should come back on. Sun's setting now, so it's getting a little bit of charge, not much. And then this is the positive, and that needs a jacket around it and it needs to be protected. Positive to the battery, going down off the charge controller. I still need one wire for the alternator. So that goes in here, comes out, and it'll go to the trailer hitch where it hooks up to the truck battery, the alternator. And then it'll charge when it's going down the road, or if I'm just idling somewhere at a campground. If I might get enough sun, I can charge right off the alternator, so I don't have to have a generator. So I'm not going to have any 110 volt stuff. No air conditioner. That would be the only thing I would need it for. I'm building a shelf to go over the battery here, about a foot off the ground, just to protect the battery. And then on top of that's where the fridge will sit. And this is the power for the fridge. It has its own fuse. It's all hooked in already. So right now what I'm doing is, it's so windy today, I haven't been able to film much. I haven't done much filming. Just to show you, give you an idea. Very windy. Got my view back though, all the corn's gone. So here's what I'm doing today, right now. If I can get this on camera over it. Hopefully I got these right, but they'll fit. So I know the light's not good now. We've lost our light. So I've got a 12 volt and a USB. You have to take a piece of wood like this and drill a 1 1/8 inch hole in it with a spade bit. I lost my circle, lost my keeper. Keep losing stuff. Anyway, so when I find that round thing, I'll tighten those down like that and use these connectors like this. I'll clip those off and just tie them into the electric. And those are called spade connectors. See that? Just hook those in like that. They actually have their own fuse, but I'll just run it right off the fuse panel. And I'm going to put one probably right about here, that, and I'll just screw it in. This is all going to have a ceiling over it and insulation, but this is just going to be like that. I'll put one there, and then I'll put another one up here. Same thing. And I won't video any more of that. It's pretty easy to do. And then I have to just run the wires. Let me video some of it for you. But it's very windy. Alright. Look what happens at my house on windy days. I'm sorry about the wind, but I get all this corn litter coming off the field. It blows into my yard. I have to wait for a north wind to come and blow it all back out. And that'll come Sunday, I think. So the mice have a great place to hide for a few days. It is day 2 of wind apocalypse in Dorrance, Illinois. Look at the corn litter everywhere. And you won't be able to hear me because the wind's still blowing. Look at this stuff just blows everywhere. You know? It's even blown into the garage. So, leave my garage door open and the corn stalks blow in here. So this is the foam. This is going to be the insulation, and then this will be the wood that goes on the roof. It's 5 millimeters thick, Luan plywood, 4x8 sheets. Out we go. Got the Bluetooth, got the big battery. This was all done yesterday. The grounding circuit done, and today I'm going to run 2 circuits. One for lights up here, and it's hard for you guys to see. So along this channel inside here, we'll run a circuit for lights and a circuit for this guy, which is a charger, and it'll go right there. And I'm going to put another charger run this side. Same thing, same kind of thing. But I'll give the fan its own circuit, and then a second circuit for lights, third circuit for one each for charging. So one over here, one for the diesel heater, which is in this box here. About 6 circuits, I think. One for lights, one for fan, 2 for charging. Good Lord, what was that? So 6 circuits we're going to run. The diesel heater needs a 20 amp circuit, so I may come straight off the battery with that. So I have this wire left over from van build that I did. I don't know where I got this wire, but it's here, so I'm going to use it. It's already got a connector on the end, and it's 12 gauge wire. It's already got a spade connector on this end, and it looks like it's been crimped once. If I can cut it off. This is a capable wire, 20 amps. This is super annoying here with all the stuff in the way, and then I keep dropping these screws. It just slips right off. Even get it on there. See, I've got two circuits wired in, one blue, one red already. This will be yellow. Now the easiest connectors to use, let me zoom me out here so I can show you, are these little these little slide-in terminals. This is 12 gauge wire. I believe that crimped it pretty good. Crimped it tight. Oop, came right off. This is why it's so important to use the right wire and the right terminal. Thought that I can't really read it without a magnifying glass. It says 12 on it. They come in a kit like this. They're different colors. Yellow's the biggest. That'll accept up to 10. See, it's the widest. I don't have any slide-in or circle connectors for that. And then blue, let's try a blue one. I think it says, there's 12 on it, 12 gauge wire. Went in there real good. It's pretty snug in there. These connectors are not, this crimper is not marked. It's pretty tight. It's not going anywhere. The slide-in connectors are much nicer because you can just unscrew this a little bit, slide it in, tighten it. Tight. That's 3 circuits, and move you back. I've got the blue one, the red one, yellow one. This one's long enough for it's got a spade connector on it already, so it can go right on one of those. I'm going to run a jumper. This is a 12 volt, this is a 5 volt. I'll run a jumper, hot to hot, and show you how that works. You can take a 10 gauge connector like this, spade connector like that, you put a jumper from this one to this one. It's 12 gauge, so it goes in the second slot there. This is the 12 gauge slot. And that should just strip right off. You don't like the wire any longer than it has to be. So it looks like about the right length. The bright copper ones are the hot. I'll show you. To the ground wire. My ratcheting crimpers don't work on these fat 10 gauge ones. Should go get my heat gun. It's easier. Hot day on a windy day like today. There we go. Are you kidding me? Not gonna fit? Yeah, it fits. That's how that's done. Doesn't seem to want to stay in, but it'll stay in. Now I just need to run this ground to the grounding plug. This ground wire. Or, you know, I can ground it anywhere in here. You know, anywhere along this. I think it would even ground to one of these bolts here, one of these nuts, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna run it all the way back. One and 1/8 inch. Here's something I built last night. So it's wood glue, one screw in each, 3 legs here. It's designed to hold the, I'll put a piece of plywood over the top of it, and it'll go next to the battery and the platform, and that's where the refrigerator, and there'll be a platform, and then that's where the refrigerator and cooler will sit on top of the battery, but and it'll be braced against the sidewall. You'll see all that. This plywood actually was part of the window that I cut out. So I'm just reusing it, the USB. So those will go right up here. That shell sideways, right up there. So I'm gonna do the wiring exactly how I did that one. I'm at a stopping place. It's just too darn windy. It's corn everywhere. I'm not quite sure how to mount these. I went and bought 2 of these gang boxes, and I was just gonna screw them on there, and then, but they don't quite fit. They just don't quite fit. If they were an inch bigger. So I'm gonna look around and see if I can find some other kind of box to mount those on, or have to make something. But other than that, the solar's in. I've got 4 circuits, 6 circuits. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 circuits wired in here. This is a heavier gauge. I think this is 10 gauge. So this will handle the 20 amps needed for the diesel heater on this circuit. Charging and lighting circuits, that's plenty. This one's already live. All I have to do is flip the breaker switch here, and this one comes on live. So that was episode, I don't even know what episode that was, maybe 7, and the next one will be episode 8. So we'll continue, on episode 8 we'll continue the wiring, do a little bit of construction. There's really not much left to do. I just have to start bringing stuff in here after the wiring. A little bit of construction. I have to build some sort of a kitchen. So this, of course, sits right here. And I'm going to build a little tiny kitchen right here with a propane bottle secured underneath it, like a little cooktop, which I just have a little portable stove, just a little way to heat water right here, coffee pot, whatever. Not much. Probably move this rack over here, just some cabinetry stuff for a kitchen. And that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.